Hello and welcome to Nürburgring 24-hour edition. Okay, immediately going off track here. So yesterday I went to Assetto Corsa Competizione and I felt like starting a new track, and I figured I would leave it up to chance which one it would be. So I would look at the list of lobbies and pick the top one or the first track that I'm not too familiar with. It happened to be this one, Nürburgring 24-hour edition, which is a super challenging and long track, and which isn't what I had in mind, because I just wanted something that I could actually learn and get to grips with somewhat fast to start racing on right away. But since that was what I set out to do, I still jumped into this one because I do want to learn the track, just a bit longer term than what was my plan yesterday. But anyway, this track is so difficult because it's got about or close to 180 corners, I believe. So obviously far more than any regular circuit, and yeah, will take a long time to learn because of it. So currently I'm in the stage that I managed to complete a couple of laps without taking damage or without taking too much damage, which in itself was an achievement. And my plan at the moment is to just start to get familiarize myself more with broader sections, so that I can think this is a fast section and this is a slow section, be careful. Yeah, I'll probably show more content about it in the future, but I just wanted to give a bit of a feel for what I was doing yesterday and where I am with it. After I get the feel for the sections, I want to focus a bit more on specific turns so that I'll know the heaviest braking zones. And after that, I'll try to dial in basically every turn, but I'm sure that will take eons of time. So yeah, I think my fastest time is just above 9 minutes 30 at the moment. I'm hoping to get below 9 minutes in the next couple of weeks, and then long term I would like to get low in the 8 minutes, so like 8 minutes 10 or something would be, to my feeling, excellent. Currently the timer says 11 minutes and something, but that's because the race was already ongoing and I was stuck in the pits for, I believe, 3 minutes or so before I could set out. So I think we have to subtract about 3 minutes from my final lap time here. The section we're now at was the very long straight. This is easily where the most overtakes happen, because the track is so twisty and narrow, with very high curbs, so very little room to run next to people for most of it. Okay, so I finished it in 11 minutes 50, but I definitely didn't go below 9 minutes. Let's say it was 9 minutes 20 or so. Anyway, after completing that lap, I tried another one, but I crashed, and then I figured, okay, that's enough of that, I'll practice it more later. And I looked for the second topmost track that I'm not familiar with, which happened to be this one, Brands Hatch. So this track I tried once a few months ago. I did maybe 2 laps on it back then. Wasn't really feeling it at the time, and thinking I'll try more with tracks that I kind of already know the layout of. But yeah, by now I do feel more ready to take on a fully new track like this one, or almost fully new. So I joined this session. When I joined, it was the very tail end of the previous race, which was rainy, so I drove out there and got a bit of a feel for the layout, but definitely not how much you could throw the car into the corners, because the wet weather made the grip levels completely different from dry conditions. So here in the qualifying, I'm definitely still learning the track. I did put down a 131.8. So just by that you can tell it's a short track. Here I'm looking to improve about a second up on my delta. Of course, at this stage of learning, I'm still improving dramatically as I go. And so this is completing I believe the 6th lap I ever did on this track. And I had a 130 point something, which was enough to qualify me on P16 out of a 21, which was a bit funny to me because, yeah, well, I had so little experience with the track. But then the race started, and it was a wet weather race again. And yeah, before I start doing wet weather races on it, I really want to learn the track more than I have so far. So I wasn't too enthused about this prospect. Also, I wasn't impressed at all by the level of the lobby. I've seen a lot of crashes during quali, and with people not even qualifying before me, even though I hardly know the track at all, I figured better to stay behind and avoid early carnage, such as there on the left. I continue carefully to T turn 2, because yeah, the grip levels are so bad. And somehow I'm now P15. I know it's just it's not updated yet, so P19 only one car behind. But yeah, I just go a little bit too hard on the throttle, start sliding out, and I think F this shit. I'm moving on to another one. Try to find the next highest track that I am a bit more familiar with, at least. So this led me to Misano, and here we are. So this is the race start. I just joined exactly as the race was starting, so I just time to put my setup ready, and then we were starting. This of course led to me starting all the way in the back, but I was happy about it because the car in green had said that it's the first time driving this track for them. So I again wanted to avoid early carnage and then try to make my way through. The timing sheet isn't working, I know, which is unfortunate because we won't have the names, but the most important one is the car right now in front of me, which is Chris Pinter. He's driving the Ford Mustang. It's red in the back, blue in the front, and I think yellow in the middle. And then in front of them is Machlap. I think he's driving the Ferrari. I don't know the cars too well, to be honest, just by looking at them, but I'm quite sure. And yeah, yellow and blue Ferrari, but less important, Chris Pinter is the most important name here. So coming out of the previous corner, I had better traction and I felt I could have tried to make it 3 wide, but then Machlap was squeezing Pinter to the left. And then as a result, Pinter started squeezing me before I could get well enough alongside, so I just backed out of it. And then in the last corner, Pinter went too deep, as he's prone to do, as we will see. So I just take the position. Here's a pretty heavy braking zone. Pinter doesn't see it that way, so he crashes into me. I have to spin the car around, and I think I'm back again at the back of the race. So here we go. So from the replay in this corner, I have a better exit than the 2 cars in front, Machlap and Pinter. Machlap starts to go left, pinches Pinter. Pinter had a gap there on the left, but it closed up, so I backed out of it. The next corner, Pinter goes too deep, so easy pass on him, and then Machlap doesn't really utilize the exit space very well, so they have a slower exit, and I overtake them there as well. Then this kink in the road is just flat out, about to move up to 6th gear. And then here's a pretty heavy braking zone. I think you go down to either 4th or 3rd gear. But Pinter goes a bit deep there and takes me out. Actually, maybe saying that Pinter went deep isn't entirely correct. It's more that he just about managed to stay on track by using me as a stopping board, by hitting me. Yeah. I think my braking point may have been there slightly early, and then I missed the apex, so mid-corner I wasn't at the best possible speed, but Pinter, it's easy to tell, is very inexperienced on this track and should be safer there. Yeah, it's in any case not a good overtaking spot, so if anything it would be in the very next braking zone. But this one. Oh no. So next lap around, I'm now pretty much by myself, but I do see cars in the distance, so I'm trying to chase those down. I didn't take too much damage from the contact before, even though of course there was some. So I'm also going to try and do some faster laps if I can. I believe my best laps on this track aren't all that good anyway. It's maybe in the 137s, probably. I think I was on the verge of getting to the 136s, so as I was preparing for an endurance event that I didn't end up doing because I got sick. I believe my plan at the time was to push it down into the 136s during the free practice, which is 2 hours long, and then hopefully to get somewhat of a consistent pace around that 136, 137 during the quali and race. But yeah, we managed to catch back up with the car in front, who was also seemingly very inexperienced on the track and quite slow. So I'll be looking to put a move on that. It goes quite easy coming out of the last corner. Next up is Maglab. And so to comment a bit on the track here, turn 1 here, quite a difficult braking zone, and you have to cut a lot of the curb, which is a theme for the whole track. Turn 2, you need to keep very tight, so you can try and run flat out here all the way through to this corner, which is a hairpin, which immediately goes into another sharp right-hander, so you stay very low in the gears, try to not spin but still put some power down. And then here is a flat out section, all the way to another hairpin, so you'll go from 5th gear to 1st or 2nd gear in this corner. Try to keep it to the turn-in quite late, and then, which I didn't manage there, and then get on the throttle nice and early because another quite long section. Here this kink is not a braking zone, but then the very next turn is another hairpin, so that's kind of a weird one. Because normally you want to just line up on the outside of the track in a straight line and then brake in that straight line, but it's not possible there with the kink just before the braking zone. This corner is flat out. Next one isn't, and that's where Pinter spun me out. Or sorry, this one, yeah. So at the moment I'm taking it in 3rd gear. I will try to work it up to 4th gear, but my approach is, if I'm not feeling too confident in a corner, to perhaps brake slightly early, go a bit lower in the speed, and then try to build it up. Whereas Pinter seems to have the opposite approach of going in overconfident, running deep, and then try to slowly back it down, if their driving style shows anything. So here a lot of people in this lobby don't cut that turn 1 corner much at all, which is a big mistake. Yeah, when I was preparing for this endurance event that I didn't end up doing, people in the Scottish Legends community were also musing about how this is a track limits paradise, and it's true because the curbs are very flat. So you need to abuse them very heavily, but then it's so easy to just run wide, and you can of course gain time with that. I'm not really quite good enough to do that much, but yeah. Track limits paradise is an apt description. So here we come up to this funky braking zone, so try to stay a bit away from the apex and then brake towards the outside of the track, but you're not aligned with it. And then here try and use all of the surface on the exit to really try and get a good launch, because this is the longest flat out section on the track. So here again, cut the curb heavily, and then here to a bit, but then brake hard into this corner and then go even lower into the next hairpin. Yeah, catching up to Pinter nicely. My best time is 1:38.7, so absolutely not great for me, but it's been several weeks since I've driven the track and I was never very good at it anyway. So I'm not too unhappy with it. I think earlier in the lap I was up on my delta, but gradually I lost time, and it's a theme for me that sometimes I get this corner down or through it much better than previous lap, but then I just lose the time elsewhere. But anyway, all that aside, we're back on Pinter's tail and immediately trying to go for the overtake. Get bumped here on the right, it's a bit of door banging, so it's fine. Then here, I think he's closer than he is, so I feel very pinched here, and I figured he might not leave me space on the exit, which was right. So he flies by and I'm back behind. Let's look at that from the replay. Go. Turn 1, I got much more than Pinter, coming very close behind. Turn 2, I keep it tighter, same deal. Managed to get alongside, try to go for the overtake. Here we come in towards a heavy braking zone. A bit of door banging, but it's fine. It does push me quite far off the apex, and the makes it difficult for the follow-up turn as well. So I run way too deep there, and then here, I'm very slow in the corner because I just have to keep it so tight. So I'm back behind Pinter by quite a margin. But then Pinter runs too deep in this corner as well. Again, I'll have a better exit and I'll try for another overtake. This is the funky braking zone, so I start braking just about at the apex of that corner. And then here I get to the inside. Another bit of, well, not door banging, but we had enough room, both of us, so it's fine anyway. So again, from the replay, funky braking zone. He goes a bit deep. I get to the inside. I have a small slip, but easily kept. And there's a bit of contact, but nothing major, nothing to worry about. So flat out kink, next one too, but then brake immediately after. And got here to the apex. I see Pinter coming straight at me again in the same spot where he spun me last time, so I tried to veer left and yeah, it cost me quite a bit of time, and I get damaged because they run into me. But I do manage to keep them behind. So once more from the replay, here's the braking zone where I'm scared of him because he spun me. So I see him coming super close again. I veer left, go off track, come back on, and we have a bit of contact, but it's whatever. I did sustain some more damage, so that's unfortunate, but we're back on our way. Lap times are getting pretty bad here with all the fighting and contacts. Also the damage is starting to mount since there have been now several smaller contacts, so starting to add up. For example, here, this turn 1, turn 2 part of the track starts to feel really unstable for me. I'm still a bit up on my delta, so I guess I'm still finding the slightly better line, but it's very marginal gains, and I lose them in the next parts. Pinter is still somewhat sticking closely behind, but then gradually starts to fall away. I guess if he can't use me to dump speed on, I'm gonna start running away from him more and more after the heavy braking zones. So yeah, it starts to disappear in my rear view mirror, and he'll be gone for quite a while. So I'm gonna skip ahead So skipping ahead a few laps, I'm starting to come up on this back marker called Dazio. The timing sheets has started doing something by now, but that guy is not showing up on it, I guess, since they are a back marker. But in any case, it's the person that said at the start of the race that it's their very first time driving on this track. So we'll see me catching up to them very quickly. I'm at this point still hoping I can improve on my best lap. So it's by now 138.5, which I believe was about a 2/10 gain from before. So here I do improve to a 138.2, pretty nice. I have quite a bit of damage on the car. I mean, pretty nice, it's actually not all that great, but I'm happy I'm still able to improve despite the damage. So easy overtake there on Duzio since they run wide into turn 2. And I believe there's gonna be another lull in the action, so I will skip ahead again a little. So taking a replay perspective here, because if we pay attention on the right, I'm going through turn 1 and turn 2, but in the pit exit we see a familiar face, namely Chris Pinter. So they stopped for a while on track after crashing out, and then they teleported to the pits. They had their damage repaired, and now they're setting out again on the track to torment me some more from a very far back marker position. Of course, I have sustained significant damage at their hands and bumpers, so I have been slowed down because of that. And even though I was significantly faster when we were fighting with equal machinery, now throughout the laps I could see him get closer and closer on the timing sheets. And the smart thing to do is to just let him pass, because he's several laps down. It's not at all for position, but I suppose I don't always feel like doing the smart thing. So skipped ahead again towards the end of the race. There's only 1 minute 30 left on the timer, although it will be a bit longer with needing to complete the last lap. And by now Chris Pinter has shown up quite decidedly in my mirrors, and you can see me here struggling quite hard with turn 1, turn 2, and this brings them immediately very close behind. Then Duzio is standing still on the track. I decide to go left. Pinter goes to the right, and then he's right back on my tail again. Tries to go for an overtake here where it's not really on, I think, unless you're already alongside, and he bumps into me there on the exit. Doesn't seem to have done more damage than I already had, so it's okay. I run a bit deep here in this corner, but Pinter always runs deeper there, so still fine. Here comes the funky braking zone, where Pinter also tends to run deep, but this time he does make the apex. I think that's the first time I've seen that happen in this race. And next up, so flat out section, we have the kink in the road, that's fully flat out where you cut the curb heavily. And then another kink that's still flat out, but you start braking immediately after, or you should. Not everyone does. So I'm quite wary of Pinter there. He again comes very close, but he just runs too deep and doesn't have the chance to smash into me. He's trying to move here on the outside, but doesn't get there. It's very difficult because you need to be so much better on traction. It's almost impossible unless the car in front makes a big mistake, which I didn't. And so we go into the last lap of the race, me holding position. So again, turn 1 I don't cut nearly enough of the curb. Turn 2 goes better. Pinter goes a bit deep. I'm having trouble keeping it flat out here, just because my car isn't very stable anymore. Then the double right-hander goes pretty smoothly, and then try and get on the throttle nice and early there on the apex just about. So I'm managing to maintain a bit of a gap, try to stick it here tight on the apex, but Chris Pinter coming in hot. And okay, it's alright. Yeah, this is a bit of the reverse of the pinch from the first lap, but then they forget that there's a braking zone there and smash super hard into me. They do stop and let me continue, which I guess is nice in a way. So once more taking it back to the replay, here Pinter is a bit better under traction, almost comes alongside but backs out of it very early, so I can just move to the outside there. And then, I don't know, this is a corner they always run deep in, so I may have braked a bit earlier, but it's hard to say. I guess they also brake too late and just crash into me. Sustained even more damage, so gonna be even slower. Pinter is now quite far back, at least for this zone where the first spin happened. And yeah, I'm safe for, I believe, the rest of the lap, so I'll be bringing it home somehow in P3. Even though I felt like I must have been quite far back the whole race, but I believe a few people just left immediately after arriving, and then this game kind of forgets that they were there, so towards me P3. Not very deservedly, but okay, well, I lost enough safety rating during the race that I don't mind getting something, even if it's a consolation prize. So that'll be it for me. Thank you and goodbye.